Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have a super fun video for you today. It's really like 3 videos in one. I'm going to be making some scenes, and each scene incorporates a shaker window to create that scene. And I have some super fun products from Trinity Stamps for these cards today. First up is the Balloon Celebration Stencil set. There are 3 stencils in this set that are 8 by 6 and they are huge. They have 6 different large balloons and 3 different other balloons that don't necessarily layer up. There's stencils to make a shadow or a shine mark on them. It's really a cool set. So I'm going to do the second to the largest balloon. You can see this fits beautifully onto my A2 size card, which I totally love. It's going to take up that whole space on that card. I used Wilted Violet to create this really solid balloon. Now there are different kinds of shine marks. I'm going to use this largest one. I just thought it was really cool how it had both sides of the balloon. You could do just one side if you wanted, but I just went for it. I'm using sponge sugar for a light pink layer over the top. I thought that was kind of fun. Plus, I don't have any white craft ink. And yes, I don't know how I am making that work. It's a mystery. It's a problem. I need it. I'm going to get some. All right, so I have Villainous Potion I'm using for this little, like, you would look at the stencil and be like, what is this weird thing? Well, it kind of makes a 3D element for the bottom of the balloon where it's tied shut. Now that that's dry, I am bringing in the mask for this set, and I'm going to make a sky background all the way around the balloon very easily using my Distress Oxide spray in Salvage Patina, which is like my favorite color. I love it. And to pick up the excess ink off of my mask, I just used another piece of cardstock, and I can use that to make another card. So I used temporary adhesive to stick that down so it peeled right off. Here is the Celebration Balloon Die Set. These are the same balloons as in the stencil. So you can coordinate this with the stencil balloons if you like. And I am going to use the heart-shaped balloon to cut the window into my card that's going to make my tiny little shaker window. So once that window is there, I can start creating my shaker. First step is to put a window sheet on the back of this opening. So I'm just using some liquid glue, laid down a piece of window sheet, and then I like to set something heavy on it for a minute. Then I'll come back and make my reservoir, as I like to call it, which is just a completely closed section of foam tape so that my shaker elements cannot escape. Well, being that that's a tiny little window, I also need to put the same thickness of foam tape all over my card so it doesn't, weeble wobble around. Then I can add my shaker elements. These are the Iced Strawberry Punch confetti bits from Trinity Stamps. And then I'm covering up that window with a piece of pink cardstock. So I have a pink balloon with pink confetti in it, and it's so cute. All right, to go with this, I have the Up, Up and Away Gnome stamp set. He is so darling, floating away with his balloons, and he is going to be the star of my card. So now it is time to Copic color this. I did pull out like a million Copic markers for this. Yeah, it's a lot, but they're right there on the screen as I use them, so you can slow this down. You can pause it if you're like, whoa, wait, what is that super cool color she's using? Otherwise, it's just 3 shades of any particular color. 3 different orange markers, 3 different yellows. I'm not a Copic coloring expert. I just love doing it. And I think anybody should be able to do this. There are so many great tutorials out there if you really want to learn a lot about it. There are great color combinations you can find on Pinterest. So just explore and have fun with your coloring and let it be something that's relaxing and enjoyable. And if it doesn't turn out perfect, that's okay. Mine is not perfect either. So I have red, orange, yellow, green. You can see where I'm going with this. I am making a rainbow because I don't want my balloons to, when they overlap, be the same color of balloon touching the other balloon. You know what I mean? So I was like, let's just do all the colors. I kind of thought this card was going to go in a different direction and be like pink and turquoise and purple. But yeah, when it came to coloring the balloons, I was like, let's do something different. So that's how that idea came to me. Speaking of different, yes. My gnome has a blue beard. This is my story. He is bursting through the clouds with his balloons, and so his beard is like covered in clouds. Is that good? Is that corny? I don't care if it's corny, I like it. So I colored his cheeks a little pink color, but then I will come in with my E21 marker and add in some skin tone right over the top of that, and then I blend it again with the pink and it makes a really nice blushed cheek. So now I have V15 as my darkest purple. I wanted to try to match the purple of my balloon as best I could. It doesn't match 100%, but it doesn't like, you know, completely clash either. So I will do the hat 2 times. I like to go over it a second time just to like really intensify the color. So it's kind of light here, but you'll see in the end it's a little darker. So that's why. And then his little shoes to complete it. I think he is just darling. I just love the gnomes, and I always love them so much more once I color them. They really just come to life and are super cute. All right, so next it's time for the white gel pen. I love to add white shine marks on all my images, but you know, you really need them on these balloons, right? Just like I stenciled in the shine marks on my background. So I added white dots and lines to all of the things. That's just how I like to do it. And then I am die cutting this out with a coordinating die, just making sure I get this lined up nicely on all the sides, tape it in place, and run it through my die cutting machine. And there he is. So awesome. He's going right onto the card with some foam squares, popping him up. Yeah, his hat's going to hang off a little bit. You could cut that down. You could scoot it over. I don't mind if things hang off a little bit. I know the envelope, it's a problem. What else is a problem is I don't always send out my cards. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. All right, so now here's my happy birthday, but I wanted this to stack. So I just took my scissors and cut it apart. Pretty easy. Again, it's not perfect, but you know what? It's handmade, so it's okay. So that is going to go stacked up on my card. I'm going to glue it so they just peek out from under the balloons that the gnome's holding. And I like my liquid glue for this. Then I can scoot it around if I, need to, and that's always super handy. All right, now we embellish. Yes, I have some clay stars here. This is the Rainbow Star pack, and some clay hearts. I will have all the things that I'm using linked for you below, so you can check out those supplies if you're interested. And that's in the description box below this video on YouTube. All right, so there's the embellishment. Now we can mount the whole thing to an A2 size card base. Sometimes it doesn't go down right the first time. This is why I like liquid glue. Yeah. All right, so there it is stuck down. But let's not forget the inside of this card, because I have something else super cool to show you in this collection of balloons from Trinity Stamps, which is the foil and cut party balloon set. So there are dies and foil plates for 5 different balloons in this set. So let me show you real quick how that works if you're not familiar with hot foil. I have a piece of super smooth white cardstock. I put my foil pretty side up and my plate face down. I put that face down onto my preheated Glimmer hot foil system. Press the timer. After about a minute, the timer will go off, and then you just remove the whole dock and run it right through the die cut machine. I ran it forward and back because this plate is very, very solid. And you can see on the right, it didn't foil as well the first time. And so doing it a second time, it's a little bit hotter, and I gave it longer pressure by going forward and back. And yes, there are dies to cut out all 5 of these balloons. Be careful when you're taping it down. Your tape might be a little tacky and could remove some of the shine from the hot foil. So what I did is I took my extra balloons that I had used to die cut some samples of the balloons, and then one of the hot foil balloons, and put those on the inside of the card. And then I just added some little tails to the balloons with a liner pen just to, I don't know, finish them off a little bit. So this card has something fun on the inside. Maybe not the other 2 cards, but this one does. So I give myself points for that. I'm not very good about doing the inside of the card, but I really want to be. All right, card number 2. Oh my gosh, this card. It's so cute. I am using the terrific Terrazzo stencils. Now, this is kind of a pattern that you may see in flooring, concrete flooring or countertops, and it's made with flecks of, oh, I'm not going to get this right, marble, I think. The most famous place you can see this type of flooring is the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Those tiles are Terrazzo. So it's very famous. It dates back thousands of years. Don't quote me on all of these things. I did research it when this stencil first came out from Trinity Stamps. So it's just 3 different layers. It's going to put these abstract shapes down so they don't overlap. It's pretty easy to line them up. I'm just trying to put the stencil roughly in the same place as I did the time before. And I'm using 3 different shades of pink. So these are inks from Altenew, and they sell them in sets of 4, and they go from dark to light, and they all work together and layer together. So it's a no-brainer when I pick up 3 different colors of pink to put down on my background. So there it is. I don't know, it's just fun. I thought it's an ice cream cone. Maybe this is the counter in the ice cream shop. And so I'm now splattering even more background with some sparkle silk from Spellbinders. And that's just going to be really subtle. When you turn this in the light and you shake it, you're going to see that element of shine. Now I have the ice cream cone die set. I love this die set. Oh, it's so fun. So I cut my cone from some white cardstock, and now I'm bringing in vanilla cream ink from Altenew. Also, I didn't have a color of cardstock that I was super excited about for a cone, so I was like, let's do some ink blending. Now, I don't care if my ink blending is like perfect, or I would have cut it from a colored piece of cardstock. I don't mind that there's like lighter areas and darker areas, but I'm laying everything out right here, right now, so I can see where I need to die cut my window. And when I did that, I noticed something about the cone. We'll get back to that. First, let's cut the window. So here you can see I have this cute ice cream I could say for something else, and now I have my window. But my ice cream cone just didn't seem to like pop off of the card enough. So once I cut that top part off, because I don't want that to show, right? The ice cream cone should look like it's sitting, the ice cream should look like it's sitting in the cone. So to make my cone a little bit more dynamic, I brought in some hazelnut ink, and I just started with a really light hand and started adding a little bit darker color to the edges and ultimately the bottom of the cone. And that really helps give it kind of more a 3D effect, a rounded effect, even though this die does put some embossed lines into the paper, which I completely love. This just helps it be more dimensional. So I'm loving that. Very cool. All right, so now let's create the shaker. So again, we're going to glue on a window sheet that's slightly larger than my opening, and I will put some heavy blocks on top that really just lets it have a minute to adhere because it's adhering to plastic. While that's happening, I'm going to pick out some background paper. Can you believe this paper? It's so gorgeous. Sweet Scoops, it's called, and it's got ice cream and cones and cake and sprinkles and sherbet and like little drinks, and oh my gosh, it's so cool. So I picked this paper that looks like scooped ice cream, and then I'm deciding on my sprinkles. Can you see all the amazing clay sprinkles from Trinity Stamps? Oh my word. So in the end, I decided to go with something a little bit matchy-matchy, which is these chocolate sprinkles. They are the sugared surprise sprinkles. And I just felt that was going to be the best because I have already a very kind of busy background for this card. So I put my sprinkles in, and then you remove the backing on the foam tape. That's the reservoir around your window. And then I just was deciding which way should this ice cream go. It could go any way, but you know, I have to make sure it goes the way I like. And then there's my shaker. Isn't that so fun? All right, I have exposed adhesive. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this down to my slimline card, which is a colored cardstock base, and I used my crease tool from Trinity Stamps so it would lay really flat so I could stick this down. So there is my ice cream shaker. I love it. I'm so excited. So I went ahead and glued my cone down. I couldn't pop it up because then it would be taller than my ice cream scoop. So I stuck that down, and then I was like, something is just not right. So I cut another ice cream scoop, but I need this negative piece. And now I'm going to do something that you're probably going to think is completely crazy. I think it's completely crazy. Like, this is stressful right here, but I'm cutting a frame. The other thing I thought of, if you have like a silhouette, which I do, you could do this on your silhouette. If you could trace the outside of the die, and maybe that would give you a wide enough line to cut on. Yeah, but I wanted a frame around this. It just really helped draw the eye in to the ice cream scoop. And look, you can't even tell that it's not perfect. I mean, even if you look at it really close, it's not that bad. Yes, this is the second one I cut out, but practice makes perfect. All right, so let's bring on our little gnome. This one's called It's Sherbet Day. Okay, Sherbet. It's Sherbet Day. So cute. It's so cute. So this one, again, as I color it, I just love this gnome more and more. Do you see that the hat is supposed to look like an ice cream cone? So I'm kind of trying to color it the same color tones as the ice cream cone that I did my ink blending with, but using Copic markers and adding in some shadowing, and it's just really fun. And then check out this gnome's beard. Kind of looks like soft serve ice cream, right? It's so adorable. So I'm going to make this one pink. You know, my last gnome had a blue beard, so this one might as well have some like strawberry ice cream for his beard. I think it's so fun. So I'm using just 2 shades here, outlining it and then filling it in. I don't know if you've seen ice cream like that, like at the fair where the edges of the swirls are darker. I don't know how they do that, but I think that's really cool. So that was kind of the inspiration behind his little beard here. And then I added just a little bit more shadow again with that marker. For my cherry, I used RV17 and RV09. Here are the markers I used for his chocolatey shoes. And then for his skin, I used E02. And then for the spoon, some N markers, N3 and N0. And there he is, all colored up. I'll just throw in some white highlights with my white gel pen, some little freckles on his cute little cheeks, and then we can die cut this out with the coordinating die. I love him. Look at him. Look at him. He's so cute. All right, so he is going to get mounted onto another die cut. This is just going to pop him up a tiny little bit. I use some heavyweight cardstock just to give it a little bit of dimension, but not as much as you would get with foam squares. So there he goes, right on top of the ice cream. He's adding on the cherry. That's what he's doing. That's his job. So then we need a sentiment. So I had to do the punny little sentiment. It's Sherbet Day. Try not to go around singing that now, because I have been. I'm going to stamp this on some bright pink cardstock that matches the card base that I used, and I'm going to emboss this with white powder. So I use my Versamark ink, sprinkle on that white powder, and when I'm stamping a small sentiment like this with thin letters, I like to just stamp it multiple times versus pressing down really hard. I don't want my letters to get like fat if I push down too hard on the stamp, and that really helps me get a crisp sentiment. All right, next I just added a little strip of some brown cardstock that is the same color as that frame I did on the ice cream, and then stuck my sentiment to that to complete this shaker card. So making a scene with a shaker window, I had so much fun making these, and I think this could be applied with so many different stamps and dies, but I thought it was so fun to combine all these gnomes with the different dies from this latest release from Trinity Stamps. So let's do a cupcake. This is a cupcake card die. It creates a cupcake shaped card. You can see one I made there in the corner, but I'm not using that today. I'm just going to use the cupcake liner, the frosting, the cupcake itself, and the cherry. But first, let's make our stenciled background. This is the Good Morning Sunshine die set. This, again, is a 6x8 stencil, so you can do all your slimline things, which I love. You can do, this is going to be a 6x6 card to fit all my things. And I used some Morning Dew, no, Dewdrops ink first, and then I can layer up my stencil with what I already stenciled because there's etched lines, and then I can go ahead and do my second layer, and I'm using Aqualicious. Speaking of favorite colors, this is like my favorite ink color from Altenew that I have. I use it all the time. So there's the completed background. I guess it's not really completed because I went in with the Dewdrops ink again and went all the way around the edge just to kind of soften out that white edge and draw your eyes into the center. And then let's splatter it. Okay, let's just do that because I love it. So again, with the sparkle silk, just a little bit there. When you shake your card and turn it, you're going to see that shiny, shimmery goodness. All right, for my cupcake liner, I'm going to use this pattern paper from Love Danny. I thought this tone-on-tone pattern is perfect for a cupcake liner, and it just needed to be a little bit more dynamic. So I have some fresh lemon ink. I just dusted the edges with it, and now it looks fabulous. For my cake, I'm going to die cut it from some white, and then I'm using the same colors I used on card number 2 for my cone, and doing some like yellow cake. I think it works. I like it. I added a little bit of splatter. It's really subtle. I used the hazelnut and almond butter ink for that. And you can see really subtle little splatter just to give it a little bit of texture. Now I'm just going to lay everything out where I want it so I can figure out where to cut the shaker window opening for this card. So I really have to pay attention to that because I need to die cut the cake too. Because if you think about it, the frosting should be sitting on the cake. So what I'm going to do is run this through the die machine just like this. It'll make sense as I put it together. It might seem a little confusing right now, but here you go. Take it apart. I've got my window. I got this really funny little frosting piece. This piece I don't need, but the piece right here is the piece I'm going to save. And you'll see when I put it up against that cupcake, now it looks like the frosting is sitting right on there, and I think that's so fabulous. Okay, now we need to do the frosting. So I'm taking 3 different shades of pink and I'm going to do an ombre effect. So I'm doing my lightest color and then my darkest color, and then I'll bring in my mid-tone and go right through the middle. Now with these Altenew inks, as with a lot of inks, they kind of need like a minute to like chill out. So if you're doing some ink blending and maybe you've gone over it a couple times, which I did do on this one, even though I didn't show you all the ink blending because we could be here for days. If you just let it sit for a minute, this ink really has a tendency to like absorb into the paper and really like shine. So there's a little tip for you. Next, I'm covering up my little window, putting the heavy blocks on, let it sit for a minute, and then I'll do my foam tape around the edge. By the way, my foam tape that I love, it's the best, I'm biased, it's from Heavy Doodle. It is not sticky on the edges. So if you watch other shaker card videos, you might see people taking an anti-static powder tool and putting it on the edge of that foam tape. I don't have to do that with Heavy Doodle. It's not sticky on the edge. It's a hard thing to get used to, but I love it. And it's also already double thick, so you don't have to double up your foam tape. It's my favorite. I'll link it for you below. It comes in that thicker and thinner size, you know, like wide and narrow. And then my shaker elements that I put in, aren't they so cute? Ripe banana, they're called. And those sprinkles, they have them in like every single color at Trinity. And then on the front, I just glued down my cupcake and my liner. And now we'll add our little gnome. This is the party gnome. He is ready for a birthday party. He's got his cupcake. He's ready to go. And we're going to just color this out in some bright, cheery colors inspired by the colors of my card. And I have to say, this gnome in particular, I think is my favorite. I don't know. I love the colors on it. It's really hard because they're such cute little gnomes. But I would love for you to tell me in the comments below, which is your favorite gnome? Or maybe which is your favorite card? Yeah, I think the cupcake one is my favorite. I think. It's hard. It's hard to choose. But I will color this out with those coordinating colors. Again, I'm just trying to best match the colors that I used and have it coordinate. And the hat is always so much fun to do. I think that's a good big area to pick on your gnome to help bring out a color in your card that you need to help shine more, which in my case was the background. That was the only thing kind of in these aqua-y colors. So that's why I chose to do the hat in that color, to really help bring out the colors in that background a little bit more. And then I kind of colored the cupcake so it matched the cupcake on the card. I thought that was really fun. And then his beard. So I'm using T3 on the beard, giving it some like lines that look like more dimension to the beard. I'm just going over those lines with T1, and then I'll bring in my lightest to kind of fill that in, but I don't actually color the whole beard. I'm just like softening out the lines. I did his shoes and his skin, added some white gel pen, and then it's time to die cut out all the things, even the sentiment there. And then I am doing the same thing, backing this with a piece of heavyweight cardstock to give him a little dimension. And then I was laying things out and decided this cupcake needs a cherry. So I die cut the cherry, also from the cupcake set, and then I used the same markers that I used to color the frosting on my little gnome because it was such a bright, vibrant color. I wanted to repeat it on my card just for continuity. And then for the frame around the cherry, I'm bringing in E49 and just doing the stem and leaving the rest white. I thought that was, I don't know, kind of like a die cut look when you die cut a stamp set, you have a white frame. So yeah, lots of different ways you could do this cherry. So now I'm sticking that down with some liquid glue and the help of my tweezers. Thank you very much, tweezers. And then the cherry goes right in the center, puzzle pieced in perfectly. So that really adds that little extra something, and the colors of that cherry, I'm in love with it. So sticking everything down, I did back my sentiment also with a piece of heavyweight cardstock, so it was raised up a tiny bit also. And then this just needed a little bit of embellishment. So once I stuck this down to my 6x6 card, do you like the pink paper behind there? I had to do it because I didn't have any white 12x12 paper. It's time for me to shop for white things, I guess. White ink, white paper, yeah. All right, so these are some hearts. They are lemon drop hearts. They are more like epoxy. They're harder, not clay. And they look really cute on the side of this card, just to bring in some more yellow. So here are all 3 of my scene cards using shaker windows. I had so much fun making these, and I would love to know what you think. Will you try a shaker window scene? I totally hope you do. And maybe you learned something new. That's always fun, to enjoy the video and learn something. So thank you so much for stopping by and letting me share my creations with you. It's my favorite thing to do. And I will see you guys all again very soon on the next video. I have new videos all the time. So if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe. And always, I love chatting with you in the comments below. So leave me a comment and I will see you guys again very soon. Happy stamping. Bye.